Okay, let's go. All right, welcome to the SEO Science Show. My name is Josh Bachynski. I will be your host for today. If you've never seen the SEO Science Show before, it is a show that is all about SEO science, as the title might have clued you in. We do empirical testing on the actual SERPs to provide a grand unified theory of ranking, to find out what the actual ranking factors are. Not the stuff that people are talking about out there, not the stuff that the white hats are talking about, not the stuff the black hats on Black Hat World are talking about. We find out what not the rumors of SEO, we find out what the actual ranking factors are. And so today I'd like to talk about the recent updates that have happened, the November update, the January update, and this recent February update that Barry Schwartz is all up in a Twitter about. If you have any questions you can ask, you're probably watching live on YouTube or you're watching after the fact. If you're watching live on YouTube, you can ask questions on the top right-hand side. I think they should go over there. And please go ahead, put your URL in there. If you want me to take a look at your URL, I'll give you kind of a 40,000-foot audit. If you were hit by any of these updates, please go ahead, post your questions in the chat. I'll try to get to those. Also, if you want to ask questions in the description, go ahead and ask questions in the description down below below the video. So let's get started. So I want to talk about these updates. And the difference between my talking about them and everyone else talking about them, just for newcomers to the show, is that I'm going to be taking the perspective of my grand unified theory of ranking, which I've been able to develop from doing empirical testing on the ranking factors. I don't care what Google says. I haven't listened to Google for years. I don't care what anybody else says either. I treat Google like the black box of nature. And then I try to do testing on the black box of nature, just like a physicist would or any kind of empirical scientist would, and come up with a grand unified theory, an E equals MC squared of ranking. And I have. And I'm going to share that with you guys today in broad terms, in a broad way. I do this for my mentorship group. You're welcome to apply to join my mentorship group. There is an application process. I don't just accept anybody. Send me an email at joshbachynski@gmail.com. I'll send you the application questions, and we'll see if it's a good fit. But the productions of my mentorship group have been quite impressive. If you want to look at them, go to bit.ly/SEOproof. That's bit.ly/SEOPROOF to see all the results of applying our grand unified theory of ranking from the experimentation that we've been able to do. And in general, that experimentation has been able to tell us that Google has a two-sort algorithm process. There's a first sort and a second sort. The first sort is the first refresh, the first fetch it gets back from Google's database, and then it does a whole kind of reshuffling of that deck, so to speak, of the shard collection, it used to be called in the industry. And they reshuffle all of that. And based on certain principles, those in the industry have been called query deserves diversity and query deserves freshness, so QDD and QDF. There's a lot of other ones in there as well, but it's for diversity's sake and for freshness' sake in some cases. The adjective of what they're trying to serve, either freshness in one case, diversity in the other, is not necessarily what they're serving anymore. It's like query deserves happy users is really the main signal that's being used there. And so they have a main semantic engine, which is I'm really going to focus on today because it's really the thing that changed the most from November to January to February. They have a main semantic engine, and then they have a main quality engine. And the semantic engine and the quality engine, we found through our testing, talk to each other. So you have a reciprocal process between the quality engine and the semantic engine. So let me talk a little bit more about the semantic engine. Actually, I can even share my screen and draw stuff. So, as I said, we have the semantic engine. We have two sorts. It's a two-sort search system. The first sort is the semantic engine. And they bring back, and this is where you used to think EMQ was a factor, and you used to think PMQ was a factor. I'm going to show you today, actually, I'm going to tell you today that these things don't exist anymore. You might be like, what? But that's the truth. EMQ doesn't exist anymore. PMQ doesn't exist anymore. It's not a control plus F plus bonuses or plus patches. It's not. That's not how the. This is no longer how the algorithm works. It hasn't worked this way for a long time. In November, they added the anti-SEO set of algorithms in the Semantic Engine. So that's really important. We're going to be going over that a little bit later today. There's no such thing as exact match query anymore. There's no such thing as partial match query anymore. If you don't know what that means, don't worry. I'm going to go over that in a couple seconds. And the second thing, the second sort, so the first sort, the second sort is where we do the QDD. This is the shuffle based on Y factors, and Y is a variable that I don't know exactly what the number is there, of course. I know I've measured I know of at least personalization, geolocation, aspect, design, happy signals 1, happy signals 2. I know of at least 6 here. I know of at least 6 that go here. There could be more local, so 7. There's probably 7 factors that in this shuffle that I could think of that may or may not come into play. Oh, 8 if you include, so I keep thinking of them. 8 if you're including freshness, which sometimes is a factor, sometimes is not, depending on other factors. And these 8 all talk to each other. These different algorithms, a lot of them talk to each other. They shuffle things around on a basis. It used to be called QDD. Now the query does deserve diversity, and the diversity is inherent in the shuffling of the 8 plus factors that Google does here. And this largely has to do with a conversation between the Semantic Engine version 2. So they double dip into the Semantic Engine and how that talks with the Quality Engine. Now the Quality Engine, I'll talk about that in a second as well. So that's largely what we're talking about here in terms of Google search algorithm. This is the grand unified theory derived by science of testing like Google was a black box, and I don't talk to Google, I don't listen to Google, I don't try to pollute my results. I might do my experimentation and listen to them to get hypotheses to test, and then fill that into the grand unified theory. Of course, using Occam's razor, of course, as any real science group would. That means a real science group will not have a superfluous amount of theories. They will have competing theories for sure in the hypothesis stage, but when it comes down to the how does it work, Josh, quote unquote, we're going to have as few competing theories as possible. I'm not going to admit of funky ideas like entity until that can be scientifically defined. And until that can be scientifically tested, I'm not going to overlap entity with some other idea of the Semantic Engine, for example. I'm going to squash that in form of the Semantic Engine, which I've been able to test numerous ways and numerous times, and perfectly explains this idea of what people think entity is. And so that's another little point of how the science group proceeds. It has to proceed on Occam's razor, which minimizes, does what's called an epistemic reduction. That's the fancy lingo, because I went to school for this. The epistemic reduction of how that would occur. We reduce what we know. We reduce our guesses to what science has proven for our theories, and then you add those all up. You have your grand unified theory. So this is our grand unified theory. We've been able to prove through empirical science looking at Google as a black box. Google would laugh at how I did it, but I don't think they'd laugh at my results. They haven't. They've been changing things based on what I'm finding. So the very fact that Russians are deigning to steal my course, or trying to, and people are trying to steal my content, you know that it's good content. And just look at the results. Like, you shouldn't believe any of that. You shouldn't believe anything that I'm saying right now. The first thing you should have done is pause the video, gone to bit.ly/SEO proof, and seeing if I even had any results there. Because no other groups do, very few other groups do, and they're dated, like 5 years old. And I have like 300, 400 results in there now, dating back years of doing the grand unified theory of doing science. And so you should go look at that to know that what I'm telling you, that's the best piece of evidence I can give you without you actually joining the group, that I actually know what I'm talking about, and that I actually know what I'm talking about, that I'm telling you the truth. And that I've watered it down. I've for the sake of not getting into the weeds too much, and I've kind of bubbled it up to a higher level conversation. but you can join the group to get the nitty gritty weeds. I have tons of weeds. I have 3 months of video for you to watch before you even touch SEO again, to completely unlearn what you thought SEO was, because the rest of the industry, sadly, is completely and utterly wrong. They're totally wrong, as you'll see today. When you start hearing how I'm talking about how the search algorithms work. And then, so it's like you come, I always use a martial arts metaphor because I teach martial arts as well. It's like you come to me with your fancy hoo-ha, and I'm like, that's not going to work. So unlearn all those bad moves you've been doing, and we got to learn the real moves and the good moves that are not going to get your face punched in, and you'll be able to resist and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you got to unlearn a whole bunch of stuff when you come in and relearn the new stuff, which is what you want, right? You don't want to join my group and I'm like, and be like, oh yeah, it was just PBNs and everything else everyone else is saying. Like that's not what you want. You kind of want it from a work perspective. Like you don't want to do all this extra studying to figure out how the algorithms actually work, but you don't want it from a realism perspective and you actually succeeding in the future perspective. So yes, sadly, there's going to be work. It's like a university course. I have an application process. I turn people away who don't have consistent funding. If you can't pay $300 a month for the foreseeable future, then I don't want you to join. If you don't have a STEM background, or if you're one of these people who are kind of what's the word I'm looking for? I'm trying to think of a word that's not completely an insult. If you are doubtful of science, then you're not a good candidate for this group because you don't trust science. You don't understand how sciencey it is, how it proves, how truthy it is. If you don't understand those things, then you shouldn't bother joining the group because you're going to be like, well, how do you know? Because I did the experiment. Look, here. That's not going to work for you, so you should go get another job in some of the industry. SEO is dead to you. It will not succeed without science. So I got to do some application questions to find out if you're good for the group. Anyway, so going back to this thing here. So this is what I've just diagrammed here for you is the Google search algorithm based on my grand unified theory that I've been able to get through science, mostly by testing it directly and then listening to Google after the fact and then testing extra hypotheses and some leaks and secrets. And I've been in the business since the late 90s, before Google even existed. So I take some liberties with the experience there, but 95% of it is coming through the scientific experiments. That's the whole purpose of it. You shouldn't be trusting experience, you should be trusting the science. So let's go deeper then into the semantic engine, and let's go deeper into the quality engine, because these are the two major components that talk back and forth. That's not all of it, of course, but these are the two major components that talk back and forth. The quality engine and then the semantic engine talk back and forth with each other in a two-sort process. They double dip into the semantic engine. They were so happy with RankBrain that they're using RankBrain's AI in numerous ways, in various different ways that they have just recently changed, and so it's important. So let's go and talk about this. Before I do that, I should have, it would have been smart to actually have started up a YouTube here so that if anyone had any questions, I could answer it. Where is the, oh geez, that's not good. Here we go. That's what I was looking for. Let's see if, I'm actually even streaming to YouTube. I am. There you go. Okay. So, sure, I don't care. Okay, so Blake says math, equations, and analysis, science, cyberspace engineering. Harry Blair says tuck off, Josh. Is that a fancy way of saying fuck off, Josh? I don't know what tuck off means. You want me to do like Tucker Carlson? I don't even know what that means. So if you're gonna swear at me, buddy, swear at me in an intelligible way. You can do it. You have the courage. Blake says all scientists use the word how truthy it is. Harry Blair says laugh my ass off. Fuck Josh though. So I'm not really sure what that means, Harry. If you don't like the show, you don't have to watch. Here's a newsflash: you don't have to watch. But if you want to learn what's going on, I can tell you what's going on. Okay. So there's a two-sort algorithm here. So if you have any more questions, that are a little bit more constructive or useful than what those jerk-offs are talking about, or it amuses me. So go ahead and put that there. That's kind of funny. That tells me who will never be part of the group is people who are like that. Later on, and this happens. They come and they beg me later on. They think I haven't noticed them saying things. They think They think I haven't noticed that, and then they come and try and join later on, and I'm like, no. And not because I'm being a jerk. It's because I strongly doubt that they have the mental capacity, right? Like, I shouldn't have to argue so hard for science. Science runs medicine, science runs engineering, science runs everything. Science runs economics. Science runs the world. Science runs politics. So if you are doubtful about science, if you think the earth is truly flat, you don't think that climate change is real, if you think that vaccinations are a bad thing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, you're too dumb to be in my group. So just go away. If the recent attack video Chase Reiner made convinced you at all in any way, shape, or form, you're too dumb to be in my group. I don't want you bringing down our win percentage. So beat it. Take a hike, So however, if you're science curious, if you're open to science and the scientific method of doing it through SEO, and you'd actually like some standards and some proof as to how things are working, then maybe you'd be good for the group. But you just have to have the proper funding, which really is not that high when it comes down to it. I've taught at university level. I've taught at University of Winnipeg, Fanshawe College, University of Western Ontario, York University. I've taught at a lot of universities across Canada. Dalhousie University in Halifax, beautiful Halifax. My second favorite city after Victoria, where I live. In Canada, that is. So the course is a pretty high level of kind of theoretical understanding of what's going on. So again, it's not to be entered in lightly. It's not like the other people's groups where it's like, get a Google stack or some crazy bullshit like that, or MREID bullshit or company bullshit. They have no idea what they're doing. They should know better. Some of them used to be in my group and then they just couldn't hack it and they left. So you really shouldn't listen to that kind of bull crap of like, follow this step. If it's like 9 steps to success and it's that easy, then you should really just run away, because life isn't that easy. It's not that easy, right? If it was 9 steps to success, then everyone would be doing it. And we wouldn't need to have these private educational groups, right? So, and then you wouldn't need to listen to me. You'd already be ranking. You would have succeeded already. So that's false. That's bullshit. If it's too easy, if it's too easy to be true, then it probably is not true, right? So yeah. So let's get back to. So hopefully we get some more constructive questions here. But that if you're wondering where the hatred comes from, that's where it comes from. Because SEO is dying, right? SEO is kind of on its last legs. Guessio is dead and totally on its last legs. Guessio is a term made up many years ago and was popularized by an ex-friend and an ex-person in the group. And it really has to do with making guesses, just random wild guesses as to what's going on. And that's not a sustainable method of moving forward, right? No matter how good of a guesser you are, no matter how smart you think you are, no matter how lucky you think you are, it's like kind of like a gambler's addiction, that you think you can just keep guessing what Google is doing and get it right. That succeeds like 1% of the time. Moving forward, that's even going to go down. So that's not a reliable way to run your business, to spend your money, to spend your time. Time is money. You only have X number of months to rank before you run out of money, right? How many months do you got? Do the math in your head right now. You tell me, how many months do you have before the bullshit SEO, Guessio stuff you've been following, has to work before you need to totally give up and get a job at Starbucks? How many months is that? You should know. Okay, it costs $5,000 a month. I have 15,000 stored up. I got 3 months to make this work. Well, then you better get in a group that has proven effing results, because those other groups don't. So, and I'm worried. I'm here for you. I'm worried about you. I serve you guys. It's tough love. All right. You're not going to like everything I say, as evidenced by the comments. But I'm telling you the truth. I'm like, dude, sorry. The internet gold mine, the internet gold rush is way over. It's over by like 15 years. Now we're like in the post-apocalyptic road warrior SEO stage, where all the SEOs are clustering their knowledge and they're attacking each other, kind of a deal. Chase Reiner feels he needs to make attack videos against me. We're making attack videos against each other. That's whenever you see an industry behaving like that, that industry is on its last legs. And so you better get with the science. You better get with the people who are the elites who really know what they're doing. I like to think my group is that. You can listen to the video and judge for yourself. You can go to bit.ly/SEO proof. Judge for yourself. Please do judge for yourself, because that is the scientific way of proceeding. And then join the group for 3 months and see if you can learn it, if you can see it, if you can see the proof, etc., etc. Don't expect to absorb it in a week. Okay, so that's the two-sort system. Sort one is the semantic engine, and they get back 1,000 results. It used to be 1,000. Now they truncated even further based on some other semantic algorithms. But they get back, whatever, a few hundred results, 500-ish results, and then they resort, and those are very simply listed depending on the semantic, and then depending on the code. The code can make it shuffle. The semantic makes it list perfectly straight from top to bottom, which I've tested extensively, always reliably, knowing exactly what's going on. It's the code that is where the anti-SEO algorithm starts to come in, and you start getting some issues in here. It also is part of this as well. There's a blurring between, I can't tell, of course, I'm not at the production meetings. I can't tell where one starts and one stops and two starts. I have really good guesses and really good measurements from testing, but they do. This is where they're doing all the fetching. They're doing discovery, doing fetching. They're doing crawling. They're doing indexation here. They're doing, that happens before all this, of course, and then they're deciding what to drop out of this, from that, all that. And that gets thrown over here, and that's where they start reshuffling all these results based on some of these 8+ factors that I've been talking about. They double dip into the Semantic Engine version 2 of it, which has more to do with happy signals and user quality signals, and then the quality engine, not to be confused. Now, the Semantic Engine, that's more the Semantic Engine side. The Quality Engine side was what used to be called Panda. It's been wrapped up into that. And the Rank Brain, this is more Rank Brain up here. And then there's also BERT down here, doing shifting and changing around as well. And they have another Rank Brain. They have Rank Brain number 2. And however many other Rank Brains they have going in there. Yeah. So you'll notice in here, there's no mention of links because they're not that big of a signal. They don't even deserve really to get written down on this list. You notice in here, there's no talk of entity. It's not such a thing. There's no such thing. You notice in here, there's no talk of EAT, expertise, authority, and trust, because those are vaguisms at best that are by definition non-scientific. I can't talk about them. I shouldn't talk about them the same way your doctor can't and shouldn't talk about homeopathy. Except for the fact that I've actually gone and tested homeopathy, in this case, EAT, and they are not a thing. EAT is not a thing. Quality content is not directly a thing. EAT is not even close to being directly a thing. It doesn't even make the radar of factors of how things work. Those are all ideas and concepts you should be excising from your thought and from your memory. So let's get into a little bit into what I said before and into the updates. And so the way the updates worked is we have this two-sort system. In November, right, they're working more on sort 1. January, this is where they did the anti-SEO algorithm. It was more sort 2. And then January was more sort 1. They totally reflushed. They rebooted the Semantic Engine, totally rebooted it. Pages that were ranking for X, Y, Z, and XYA lost the XYA ranking and are only ranking now for XYZ. Check the results yourself. It has nothing to do with niches. It has nothing to do with this had to do with code over here. It had nothing to do with niches. The updates have nothing to do with links or niches or what the rest of the industry talks about. The rest of the industry is so far out to lunch. Google has done such an incredibly good job of making such confusion and smokescreens and misinformation that, 1, it makes me cry for humanity to see how dumb we are. 2, it makes me cry for my industry to see how dumb we are. And 3, it makes me laugh because it was such a good job. I doff my cap to Google, even in their evilness of how good a job of a smokescreen they did so that people would lose their jobs and money, but everybody would have such a hard time reverse engineering their algorithm or even thinking to do so in the first place. And so they rebooted the Semantic Engine here, and then the February update, they're not even bothering, which is real and it's true, and they're not even bothering to mention it. They rebooted the Semantic Engine version 2 that they use here, the RankBrain version 2. They rebooted that now as well. And this has more to do with title rewrites, you'll see. It has more to do with your snippet. This is sort number 2. You'll see stuff along those lines. And so this has to do with you being over or under threshold for certain code signals. This has to do with you being over or under threshold for certain semantic signals. This one has to do, February, has to do with you being over or under threshold for, again, certain semantic signals, especially in header places, especially in special naming places, special classifier places for web pages, because web pages are not just documents in a corpus. Web pages are structured data, not flat data, right? Always remember that web pages are structured data, not flat data. So you have an extra component there when you need to think about whatever the possible semantic engines could be. The other semantic engines, the possible semantic engines, some think it's LS, some think it's, actually I'll get to that in a second. That's going to be part of this EMQ, PMQ stuff. And so, so that's where that breaks down. They're probably not going to announce February because it's just an extension of January, which they did announce as the core algorithm update. They also had an update in December as well, which was based on this. So they do an update and they tweak. They do an update and they tweak. So I mean, and there's a bunch of updates that go unnoticed by old Barry. So it's not, you can't really, you shouldn't look at the updates at all. You shouldn't really even pay attention to the updates. They're not an important thing really. They're non-diagnostic, to use the lingo. You cannot use them reliably as any diagnostic measure to infer any kind of hypothetical framework or any kind of knowledge as to what's going on scientifically or not with the ranking factors. So that is a non-starter for SEO scientists such as ourselves and such as you should want to be, or you're going to lose in this industry. So yeah, having said that, let's go back to YouTube here and see if I have any more swearing to deal with. Blake M says, can you use the Semantic Engine to do such high quality on page that it forces a featured snippet on a page without one? Yes, most certainly you can do so. Superfly dude says, I don't think science is the problem. It's the arrogance. Do you mean my particular arrogance? That's fine. That's fine. Usually with people who are as intelligent as I am, usually you get an ego built in. So that's why, even if I came off as the nicest, most perfect salesman, that you're like, oh, he's the greatest guy in the world. That's not the reason why you should join the group, right? You should join the group because the results I was able to show you, because of the sense I was making in my discussion, however arrogantly I delivered it. And that's like judging a book by its cover or judging a person by their clothes, or the bit.ly/SEO proof that I was able to provide. So really, when you say it's the arrogance, really you're just kind of showing your own psychological pitfalls and how your own emotions are out of whack. No one should feel upset, or no one should feel in any way challenged by any of the things I'm saying, no matter how I say it. That really just shows how weak you are, actually, in that case. Blake says, your video audit YouTube vids are pure gold. I'm out, though. Peace from Toronto. Okay, see you later. And he says, UBC. No, UBC, gross. White Hat Legend says, I'm crying too. White Hat Legend says, Josh, what about snippets? I've got snippets for stuff that doesn't show on Ahrefs. My traffic is more or less the same, but Ahrefs shows my organic tanking into the ground. Yeah, well, here's the problem is that, and then you go on to say, do you recommend no snippet tagging to retain traffic? So that's a really good question, White Hat Legend. So one thing, that's what happened with the February update. Remember, with the February update, where is my display capture? Here we go. With the February update, in this time period here, as I recall, is when they changed the snippets, right? And used for featured snippets. And you used to have one at the top and then used to have two down below, right? And they got rid of two. So they did a whole refresh on the QDD. That's another way how I know that in February that they were working on sort number 2 is a full rewrite of their QDD, of their shuffle, the post-shuffle factors. And you can kind of tell that's the case because when you get to know Google and how they work for so long, you know that the fact that they had 2 listed here really was always kind of a dog and pony show. Like this was clearly a patch they added in to go at the top, and they didn't have it worked into a cohesive algorithm. And so now that they have it worked into a cohesive algorithm that works on their QDD algorithm, or algorithms that the Quality Engine, the Semantic Engine version 2, and maybe even 3 or 4 talk back and forth to pick out certain things, certain semantics that they want to highlight in snippets. You're starting to get it now, right? They decided to rewrite that whole thing. And when they rewrote it, they had to press the reboot button, of course, to reflush it and reset all the new featured snippets that they wanted to run with. So thank you for bringing that up because I forgot about that point. That's exactly all tied in there to how that all works, right? So to answer your question, first off, you cannot trust any of the rank trackers. Google has been very vocal about how their rank trackers don't always work to track their rankings. They've been very vocal that they want to go out of their way to ruin the rank trackers' way of tracking their rankings. They don't care if they wreck it or ruin it for rank trackers. You're looking at the wrong stuff. Forget Ahrefs. Ahrefs is not even worth having. SEMrush is not worth having. No other SEO tool is worth having. All you need is my group, and we have our own tool that is the best SEO tool, hands down, and it's only €10 a month. So that is the only SEO tool you need other than the knowledge from the group. And you don't need any of the rest of that stuff. You're totally looking in the wrong spot. At worst, you're wasting your time. At best, you're wasting your time. At best, you're wasting your time and worrying about stuff. At worst, you're hurting yourself by doing things that Ahrefs suggests you do. And I wouldn't recommend Ahrefs for rank tracking anyway. I would use Search Console, because if you don't use Search Console, there are certain things you can't tell. And so yes, it's entirely possible your ranking is tanking, and Ahrefs might not even be wrong on that regard. You need to use Search Console. Search Console is the only reliable rank tracker, and Google made it that way on purpose. Troy says, I'm seeing reviews errors in Google. Is that plugin triggered? What do you mean by review errors, Troy? You see like actual mistakes? Stephen Johnson says, great question. Josh, I understand that you're doing single variable testing. You're right. I'm doing a whole different kinds of variable testing. However, surely it's easy for Google to spot these pages that are running these kinds of tests, given that they target nonsense words. That's a great question. You don't know that I use nonsense words. I have a whole a spectrum of testing that I do that is highly robust and well beyond what all the other groups are doing. I don't necessarily use nonsense words. And the fact is that when we apply, I always test out all of my single variable testing, which are highly more epistemically reliable because of the reduced variables, of course. I've found ways to do this testing that, yes, gets past all of Google's attempts to stop it. I have extras protections on many levels. I have ways of verifying those testing before we even get to the field. And I have ways, and then we do field testing to show that the single variable testing works. And some of the results of the field testing you'll see in the results of bit.ly/SEO proof. So sadly, I can't go into more detail about my testing regimen, which is actually quite advanced. But I'd be happy to talk to you about it and show you if you have the funding and if you're able to join the group. But no, they don't care. Google doesn't target people specifically. People, they have bigger fish to fry. They try to do everything. Google's brilliant. They try to kill as many birds with one stone as possible. They'll write a single algorithm, the anti-SEO algorithm they just did in November. This one here. I was telling my students that it's amazing what Google has done there. Like this, just however pissed off you are at them, just marvel at their ingenuity of how they're thwarting the SEOs. They're thwarting the entire SEO industry, including in some cases smarter quasi-science-based SEOs, and even us science-based SEOs at the same time, while they are improving quality and improving the user experience and reducing the algorithms they need to maintain and getting rid of patches, all at the same time, in one move. That's brilliant. That is next level chess, right? Like they are. Consider when you're doing SEO, you're playing chess with some of the smartest programmers in the world with multiple PhDs. Some of them have 2 PhDs or 3 PhDs or PhDs with postdocs. These are smart motherfuckers, all right? So don't think you're going to be able to, can you play, how well can you beat the computer at chess? They made an AI that no one can beat, right? They made an AI that no one can beat at poker either. They're not dumb. And they're just not, the only reason why we live is because they don't really care. And we can cloak ourselves close enough to quality content, to use a euphemism, even though I said that's not a thing, it's not, but we can cloak ourselves close enough to what everyone else is doing that they don't catch it and they don't see it. And if I don't see the reliability from the different testing paradigms, then I'm not worried, right? When I don't see the then I am worried. When I don't see the reliability, then I would be worried. But I do. Troy says, Stephen says, ha, winky face. Yes. So yeah, I'm all over that, Stephen, obviously. I mean, I have to be. Troy says, I don't see ranking on Search Console anymore. That's not good. So you definitely should see ranking on Search Console. So if I go to Search Console here, yeah, let's go to this one. If I still have access. Here we go. So in Search Console, you should see ranking here. It's the orange one. I'm colorblind, but it's the orange one. This is a client or an ex-client. You'll see how things go up. You should see the rankings right here. And so this should not be any news to you, or at least the impressions and clicks go up. Which is, at the end of the day, what you want to see. Where this orange line, the funny things this orange line does means different things. So yeah. So you should see it. It's right here. And if you don't see boosts like this, then that's definitely trouble that you should worry about. Okay. So that's the updates that have been going on. So let's get a little bit more into what they're doing now. In February and January, they really made changes, and the changes, it was kind of the final nail in the coffin, and it could have even been as early as November, but I think it's one of these changes, maybe even as early as November, I've really noticed a nail in the coffin and a difference between 2 major paradigms, and it really was the death of the old way and the start of the new. The old way of their doing search ranking had been dying for many years, but the new way. So the old way, here's the old way. It's like a Control F, right? You know, in Word, if I open up a Word document here, I do a search for meditation. It is a straight specificity search. It's like, hey, look at this, blah, 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 blah. That's how it works. It just had features put on top of that. That's all Google was since the early 1990s. And then they added links to it, and then they added more features to it, and that's all Google was, right? It does not work this way anymore. There is no such thing as exact match query anymore. There's no specificity anymore. So exact match query mattered. If you wanted to find information about the best mattress topper, you had to type in best mattress topper, the exact match query. And they had ways of handling the partial match query, like you typed in best mattress, how many topper results would you get? They had to make a judgment call. Or you typed in mattress topper, how many results would you get? That also included the semantic best. They had to make a judgment call. But they had inelegant ways of handling that. There was always nothing more than just a control F plus other features on top of that. That is the old way. That way is now dead. There is no such thing as EMQs anymore. EMQs no longer exist. There's no such thing as PMQs anymore. That's not the way this is the new semantic engine that they had it had been partly introduced since RankBrain, and now they've finally sealed the coffin on that. They've ditched the door in the old way, and now they've totally gone to this new way. And that's the last couple of years that it was the death knell, right? This way was announced with a terminal disease when RankBrain come out, and they didn't fully trust RankBrain because they didn't fully trust their AI. You even remember them saying that in their articles and whatnot. Now they fully trust the AI. The AI is calling the shots. It is an AI-based algorithm that chooses its own algorithms on the fly per SERP, per time period. And it's going to, now that they've refreshed it manually, November, January, February, now it's going to run on its own. The semantic engine is going to talk to the quality engine and vice versa. They're just going to do that, and that's how that's going to go from now on, right? And it has nothing to do with EMQs. Now, don't get me wrong. You're still going to write your page about best mattress topper, and you're still going to think of it like this is my exact match query, but really only in a minor way. The rankings have changed so much from the old way to the new way, based on the evidential reports that I'm seeing, that it really is a complete break. It is a complete difference between the old way of doing it and the new way of doing it. There is no on-page SEO anymore. On-page SEO, as you knew it, is dead. Is totally dead. It's totally gone. There's no such thing as keyword density. That's totally dead. That's totally gone. There's no longer such a thing as SEO tags. Not really. That's at least 80% dead. It is totally and utterly different. They are trying to screw you up. They are trying to make it different on purpose to screw you up. It's totally, completely different. Now all they can tell you is to write quality content. And then they're hoping in you writing that. Actually, they don't hope. They don't care. They're not hoping. They are statistically assured that by telling the industry that to write quality content, someone is going to just happen to write something that makes the semantic engine and the quality engine happy enough, that the AI is going to be happy enough per SERP and per time period. No tool currently measures this. No tool currently understands this, except for one tool, the one we're using. No tool, even no other group even understands this or talks about this. The new way, I can tell you right now, it is not LSI. It's not latent semantic indexing. It's not TFIDF. It's not even vectoring. It's none of those things. It's totally different. It's a unique blend that Google has constructed. It's quite a smart little AI. So trying to reverse engineer this from scratch is impossible. They have anti-reverse engineer components into the algorithm and other algorithms that are trying to thwart reverse engineers. I was lucky enough that I was testing this one day back in March of last year when they started to make these changes. Like somebody dying in slow motion, and that was like when the bullet just barely hit. And I was able to see a night and day difference between week 1 to week 2, and I saw everything that added on top of that since then. So that's how we came by this knowledge, plus some experience and knowledge of in the background of what they were doing. My personal conversation with Matt Cutts years ago, who used to work there, and this is how long in planning this has been with them. You know, they've been planning this for a long time. and also having an academic background myself in both science and in technology and computing. Adjacently, minored, if you will, in those things. So that's what's going on there. It is very interesting, again, from the how brilliant they are perspective, but I take this will be pretty hard for people to adjust to. But there's no more EMQs, there's no more PMQs. You don't stuff in keywords anymore. You don't stuff in keywords anymore. If you're like, well, Josh, then how does it work? Okay, well, I'll tell you. You're like, hey, Josh, how could it possibly not be a Control-F search at the end of the day? This is how it couldn't be a Control-F search at the end of the day. So I use kind of pyramids, right? So if we wanted to rank for best mattress topper, it's like there's a pyramid here and a pyramid here and a pyramid here. And eventually all the words run into each other and they're all related. And then you get difference as you get words that are closer related to this. And so this is not entity. That's another beautiful vaguism they were able to confuse everyone with. This is not natural language processing, not directly. It's the root of natural language processing. It is part of the natural language processing, but it's not completely natural language processing. You cannot use Google's natural language processor and expect to get any SEO results. That does not work. I could prove it to you if you want me to. I haven't run this test for a while, but I'm pretty sure I could pick new names. It was political, but I could pick new names probably, even though I haven't done it for a while. So it's not best mattress topper now. This is how it used to be. Like a search used to be like this, if you understand the search lingo, or a search used to be like, a search used to be like this, if you understand search lingo. It's not like that anymore. It's not like an exact match search. It's not like a quote search. It's not like what the verbatim search used to be. Verbatim searches doesn't even work like that anymore. It's this now. That is now how it works. It is each of the words in the EMQ is a PMQ, and that is how the semantic engine now functions. And so you're not going to get topper results. You're not going to get these results right here until you add words. This is how you get pages ranking for best mattress topper that don't anywhere in them say best or mattress or topper. They say instead words like good latex pad, right? And you still get the results for best mattress topper because Google, and not results for good latex pad. Instead, you type in good latex pad, but you get results for best mattress topper instead. Because Google scores everything about what this page is supposed to be about. And when you are not about what you're supposed to be about, pay very close attention. When you are not about what you're supposed to be about, according to Google, that's when you get this indication right here. That's my best freebie giveaway that paying students are getting right now. That's my best freebie giveaway that I can give away, that I can tell you today for sure. If you look to see if your title is being rewritten. If your title is being rewritten, you definitely need to rewrite it. There is some semantic that it is missing. There's some semantic it is missing, and you definitely are having ranking problems because of this. And Google knows this because even if you're talking about good latex pads, they know that, oh, well, these words are most associated with, in this pyramid, in this pyramid, in this pyramid, when you put them all together with the and, that is most associated with what is actually best mattress topper. And Google doesn't know what that is. It does not actually understand. This is how it understands things, by processing the grammar of language. It does not understand things by understanding entities. That's what I thought years ago. I was wrong. I was a hypothesis. I've tested it and it proved wrong. So I abandoned the hypothesis. They do not understand entities. They have just merely found really nerdy ways, push your glasses as far up your nose as possible. They found very nerdy ways of understanding grammar and understanding the structure of English sentences and of language in general. This might be why you see some more wonky results in other languages. And they know that, okay, this page is talking about good latex pad. It really should be ranking for best mattress topper. And so that's what it's scored for. That's what we're going to rank it for. That's what we're going to think it's good for. And they just reduced what that's going to be in January and February because they had to press the reboot on the Semantic Engine because now it's working totally AI-based the way they want now with the new semantic matching of how they want to work. So it's no longer specificity, it's no longer EMQ, it's semantic matching on a structured data. Semantic matching on structured data is exactly how they do it. After they've done the natural language processing. That doesn't mean that if you used Google's natural language processing, the one that they publicly release, they're too smart for that, guys. They're not going to publicly release the natural language processor that they use for ranking, right? That's their Coca-Cola formula. That's their most closely guarded secret. They would never release that on a website that you thought, oh, they have a box I can use. They have an API I can plug into. Now I know the secrets. No, you don't. They would never release that in a million years. They have closely guarded it. I assure you. You have to be a hot blonde at a conference. Cough, Don Anderson, cough. And ask them questions and then take the right courses and then they will tell you. So, because you can still go to conferences and get them to loose their lips somewhat. Not me anymore, of course. I'm the bad boy of the industry. But so this is how you get pages that are scored for something else totally that's not said. They don't say best mattress topper anywhere in the page. They're talking about a good latex pad. But what Google assumes they mean, based on their semantic engine, rightly or wrongly, because it's a dumb AI, it doesn't know, is that really this should be scored for best mattress topper, and probably not scored very well, but still it'll be scored for best mattress topper. Maybe it'll be scored perfectly. It could beat out pages that say best mattress topper a whole lot. There I just blew your brains out. Good latex pad, if this is the semantic matching is done better, can beat out pages that say best mattress topper too much. Even for the search best mattress topper. So that's how it works. It's not a specificity search anymore. It's not even a search engine anymore. Google is not a search engine, not strictly. Google is not a search engine anymore. Now they are a semantic matching engine. That's what they do, is they match semantics. They want to know what you want to know before you want to know it. By understanding the semantics of the stuff that you talk about, all the stuff associated with you. That's not entity, folks. It has nothing to do with the entity thing. So that's how it works, and that's how you have to understand it if you want to make any headway. Now let's see what questions we got here in the last 10 minutes that I can help you guys out with. White Hat Legend says, I was just referring to the organic table on the traffic tab. My position line is still steady on GSC. Okay, again, like I showed in the there might not be anything wrong here at all. Sorry, I don't mean to pick on you in any way, White Hat Legend, but I'm just saying that even if you saw how the impressions and the clicks went up on that one I showed, even though the orange line of ranking seemed to stay the same, you have to monitor 3 or 4 lines. Ranking and impressions and CTR and clicks. And then you need to look at the queries that actually are ranking and did they individually go up or down is what you need to look at. Hosni says, mind-blowing as usual, Josh. In the new way, is URL structure, does it matter or does it affect ranking specifically for e-commerce? Yes, it does. URL structure does matter for sure. Actually, hold on a second. Let me check something. I have canaries in the coal mine. Let me check something here that I just posted to the group, actually, a test I just did. Yes, URL does matter. It matters more than you think. And you can go too much there. So, yeah, so it does matter, definitely for sure. So let's share this again. Yeah, it definitely matters. There's more ways to get it wrong than right, so definitely be careful there. Stephen Johnson says, assuming you model top-ranking competitors with TF-IDF, why wouldn't that enable a site to rank? Is it because top-ranking websites may not be the most optimized as far as on-page, but they're merely ranking due to off-page factors, hence modeling their on-page wouldn't help? Because you don't know TF-IDF is the algorithm that they're using. It's not. It's not TF-IDF. Using LSI or TF-IDF might get you close some of the times, but sometimes it's not going to get you close, right? It's not going to be enough over time to compete as factors get stronger and stronger, and as they try to weed out people who are using TF-IDF. So nothing works but the actual thing. Nothing replaces the real thing of what it is you need to use. There's a gradation, right? If all your competition is weak and if all your competition sucks, then yeah, maybe using TF-IDF would be enough. But it's not TF-IDF. I've scientifically proved that. It's not LSI. It's not anything any of the other guys are using right now. So you are going to have lackluster results. You're only going to be able to get to spot 5 or 4, or you're only at top of page 1, or you're not going to be able to get all the way that you need to go. And there's more than just on-page and off-page factors. It's so much more complex than the euphemism on-page and on-page and off-page. It's so much more complex than the euphemisms keyword density or the euphemisms, change your title tags. It's so much more complex than that, based on numerous algorithms of how they operate in various ways. So, even if you model, who's at the top of page 1, doesn't mean you're going to get there on page, right? In fact, they could be there in spite of their on page, or they could be there in spite of other factors. Hosny says, so the new way is completely relies on personalization and everyone's history, search, and activities. Is that close to what you mean? Nope. That's a good guess, though. No. They're not. It's not totally that way yet. Because of the reason that it'll be very difficult for them to provide. They already have personalization that changes things to a great extent. If their rankings get too personalized and it looks different for every single person, then that robs Google the capability of diagnosing when it goes wrong. That's the worst thing about AI that they are the most scared about. That could very well be part of the reason why Amit Singhal left, other than the sexual scandal of the alleged sexual scandal that he had there as well. Amit Singhal wanted Google to be he used to be the head of search years ago. I worked in the same office, literally, as Matt Cutts. They shared an office. He wanted Google to be the quote-unquote Swiss Army knife that would answer your question, so that would be giving you those personalized results. And somebody else there apparently did not like that. Probably some of the engineers, because they knew at the end of the day that when the computer breaks, and they all do, programs are dumb and stupid, and they do stupid things, no matter how smart you try to make them. We're nowhere even near having the wisdom required of understanding how quote-unquote intelligence works to make even an artificial narrow intelligence, never mind a generalized intelligence that can make its own intelligent decisions. We have to be able to make intelligent decisions ourselves as a species before we can make any computer do it. So that's why I'm never worried about some kind of Terminator scenario, because we're nowhere near smart enough to be able to make killing machines smart enough to kill us in that general, fantastical sense of them along the movies. But so no, that's the reason why they've stayed away from personalization, because it would be a nightmare to fix it and to diagnose problems, because everyone's seeing something different. It would be hard to do. Gift Lightbulb says, can you tell me what title will you use if you write article about best mattress topper? If I wrote an article about a best mattress topper, I would have to analyze the semantic matching for their semantic engine, and that would tell me how to do it. I teach how to do this in my mentorship group. If you have the funding secured for the foreseeable future, and you are not in any way hostile to STEM, and you're capable of STEM, then you're welcome to potentially join. Hosni says, great to know that URLs matter. Can you give us actionable tips regarding URLs? Yeah, don't have them too long. Don't have them too short. I wouldn't go too strong with them. In some cases, there's not much more I can say there without getting into more details of other stuff. So yeah, it's I would not have like bestmattress-topper.com/bestmattress-topper. Not that page can't rank. It can. Like I said, the algorithms can be different in each SERP at each time because of the AI. But that one has some drawbacks for some reasons. GIF Lightbulb says, can you tell me what you think about different SEO title in regards to article title? I see guess in the last few weeks that SEO title have more value than before. The title tag still has quite a huge value. I can tell you that the title tag is worth 6 times a single mention in the top of an article for semantic matching. So that the title is worth, if the top of the article is worth 1 point, the title tag is worth 6. I've scientifically measured this. We've measured it down to the point where I can tell you exactly how much, down to the number, a particular tag is worth than another tag. So I can tell you that. So yes, it's 6 times as important, theoretically speaking, relatively speaking. Hosni says, okay, thank you for clarifying this on the personalization point. Rob Brown says, would the semantic matching kind of explain why I see so much spun content in top ranking positions now, as they use a wider range of similar words so Google likes it? Possibly. Like I said, there's all kinds of reasons why you might be seeing that. If you want to share what niche it is, I could take a quick look at it maybe to see kind of what's going on there. Yeah, I mean, Google at the end of the day doesn't care about spun content necessarily. Like I said, the AI is they're smart. The AI is dumb. And if you don't know, it's incredibly smart if when you're standing in front of it and you're dancing in front of it, the camera's got you. But if you just step to the side a little bit and know where the camera's not looking, then it's dumb. Then it's dumb as hell, and you could still do a whole bunch of stuff. So you just gotta know where that limit is, and you have to have someone who have tested the limit, and I've tested the limit. And so I'm sorry, it's getting difficult, guys. If you're not in a science group, it's getting very difficult. Speaking of science, White Hat Legend says, do you recommend A/B testing title tags? Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, we have a much more robust way of testing it than just an A/B test per se. But A/B is just a generalization. I'm sure on your part, you could mean more extensive than that, than just having 2. Yeah, you can do that. You have to be careful how you do that. But there's certain ways you do that have huge bonuses that we've discovered. Hosni says, great answer and confusing at the same time. Yeah, sorry, Hosni. Yeah, I know. Google is making rankings very difficult. It used to be very easy to do, and now it's like it's like you need a university level course, definitely, just to even understand what's going on. Gift Lightbulb says, I'm not sure you understand me. I speak about different titles. One is used for article titles, and one is used as SEO title that is shown in Google. Oh, okay. Gift Lightbulbs, that sounds like you're talking WordPress talk. WordPress talk is not SEO talk, and WordPress talk is not web development talk. So here's another piece of advice I can give to everybody. Don't learn WordPress, learn web programming. Learn how to do HTML from scratch, learn how to do CSS from scratch, learn how to do JavaScript from scratch, at least to a minimal extent. Learn how web technologies work, learn a bit of PHP, learn a bit of MySQL, learn a bit of web servers, how they operate, Apache or IIS or whatever people are using these days. Learn about HTTP status codes, and learn the basic technologies. Learn about TLS certification. Learn about WebSockets. Learn about ports. Learn about the basic technologies that all this is running on. Because if you don't understand all that, you will never understand how Google works. Google is operating on another level, the technological basic level. They don't even, they know what a WordPress is, but they don't even, what's a WordPress? They're doing SEO on a level that WordPress doesn't even touch. So I suspect you're talking about the article title is probably an H1 or something equivalent put at the top of the page, and the SEO title, quote unquote, is probably the one that's getting put in the title tag. But again, you need to know that down to that level, because if you join my group and I say, for the sake of a just completely fictitious example, if I say the YouTube tag is now demoting, everyone remove the YouTube tag from your pages. If you don't know how to edit HTML and look at tags and know what the YouTube tag is, well, then you're going to be SOL. You're going to be shut out of luck, right? So yeah, you do need to learn it down on that technical level. The group is $300 a month, and I'm not letting anyone join unless they have at least the ability to say in an email. Hopefully they're being honest that yes, they have theoretically they have funding for the next few months. It's going to take you a few months just to get up to speed anyway. Don't expect to be doing SEO within a week. You might be able to implement one thing here or one thing there that you've picked up from us. But basically to transfer over from this old way of thinking about it, here with all the attendant bad things that you might have learned in the industry from here, or to pick up what HTML is, what CSS is, what JavaScript is, how WordPress works at the fundamental level, and to go over to semantic matching over here, and to how this all is working over here with the search end, with the semantic engine, talking with the quality engine, and there's the 3 or 4 algorithms here, talking with 3 or 4 algorithms here, and 3 or 4 algorithms here, talking with 3 or 4 algorithms here. In order to make that switch is at least a 1 to 3 month switch. So don't expect it's going to be fast. You're going to have to learn and study, and there's hours and hours of video for you to watch to get the background and the backdrop of how we come to all these conclusions as well. Because how we come to these conclusions are important. I'm not just teaching you how to be an SEO, I'm teaching you how to be an SEO scientist. Because that's the important part. It's not a fish for you group. It's not a quick, here's a map with all the good fishing spots now. In a week it'll be irrelevant. It's teaching you how to find the fishing spots yourself and verify the fishing spots for yourself. So it's a teach you to fish group. It's a science group. I teach you how to be a scientist yourself so that you can always know what I'm talking about, whether it's BS or not, where I'm theorizing and where I'm more sure, why I'm theorizing and why I'm sure, so you can explain it yourself and understand it yourself. All my senior students do it and know it to that level as well. So let's see, is there any... Finally, Deirdre says, what if I consider myself an expert already? Great. Then you should have a shorter learning curve. But I guarantee to you it'll still take you some time, probably, to get back up to speed. Stephen Johnson says, I remember you mentioning that backlinks are approximately 10% of the puzzle. Do you stand by this still? Any recent testing on the effectiveness of tiered link building? Yeah, I stand by that. Link building is so not important. It's barely on our radar. It's such a small signal. So tiered link building, I've never even had to test it because our methods work well enough already. We don't have to spend extra money. Why are you spending money on, if one link to your money page is going to boost you, why are you building links to the secondary page then? Why not build links directly to the page? Because it'll be more powerful that way. You just need to know how to do it without getting Google's link algorithms angry, which I've tested as well, and it's not actually that hard to do. But at the end of the day, this is like asking me, this is like like if I'm getting you ready to fight John Jones or Conor McGregor, if you forgive a sports metaphor, a UFC metaphor particularly, and I'm your coach, and I need you to teach you how to fight these guys. I can't fight these guys for you, right? That's the metaphor. I got to teach you to be a scientist. I got to teach you to think for yourself, right? I'm not always going to be around. I'm not always going to be here. So if you want to do SEO for another 5-10 years, boy, you're going to have to get your science on right, and you have to be able to think for yourself. And so it's like learning to fight Conor McGregor. And so the question you asked me, what about tiered link building, is like asking, what if I change the brand of tape on my glove from Nike to Adidas? That's such an out of the ballpark, nowheresville question that and I don't mean to make you feel bad, but that's the problem with the SEO industry. They think the tape you use in your gloves is so important. No, it is not. It has nothing to do with anything. It's like So it's don't worry about it. And join the group, and you'll be like, oh, and you'll see a whole bunch of other stuff, and then you'll be able to put that in the right context. Normally we don't waste money trying to prop up someone else's website that way. Would be the short answer. Okay, guys. So if you're interested in joining the group, you can email me at joshbachynski@gmail.com. This is where I'll be signing off for today. I hope some of that information was interesting, at least, and was able to help you make sense of whether you were hit by one of these updates or not. As I always like to say, good luck in the SERPs. If you have any more SEO questions, any at all, please feel free to email me at joshbachynski@gmail.com. That's JOSHBACHYNSKI@gmail.com. As I like to say, good luck in the SERPs, and we'll see you next time.